Our guest speaker this evening, the man charged to deliver a toast to the school, became a mythological figure during his time on the staff here, with many of us referring to him as the H. And when I was a Form 1 in 2005, I never ever thought that I would be given the opportunity to introduce this very tall man with a booming voice that kept us all in order. So please bear with me as I probably give a very long introduction this evening. During my time here, I don't think there was a single day that didn't pass without somebody calling out, "The H!" exactly like that whenever he walked past. In fact, you heard it about 3 times a day. But let me get the boring stuff out of the way first. Greg Hasenkamp attended Boys High as a boarder in Solomon House. Please pay attention to that, Solomon House. Thank you. From 1986 until 1990, during his time he was a member of the first swimming team, the first athletics team where he obtained half colours, and the first rugby team where he was awarded full colours and got the Player of the Year award. After attending Boys High, he studied at the Johannesburg College of Education and obtained an HED. He's played club rugby for various sides in the country as well as in America. In 2000 as well as in 2003, he ran and competed the Comrades Ultra Marathon. 2005 and 2007 saw him completing the 2 Oceans. After teaching for a few years in South Africa at De La Salle and a year abroad in the UK, he joined the staff of Pretoria Boys High in 1999 as a geography teacher and a assistant housemaster in Rissik, which I'm sure was a bit of a blow to him, but he bounced back. In 2001, he became the master in charge of rugby, and in 2003, he became the senior housemaster of Solomon House, making up for his earlier discretions as the Rissik assistant housemaster. He was elevated to the rank of deputy headmaster in 2005, and in 2014, we unfortunately saw him leaving Boys High to live a life of luxury down in Hermanus as the headmaster of Hermanus High School. And I experienced Mr. Hasenkamp as my housemaster in my Form 1, 2, and 3 year, and I know exactly how effectively he ran Solomon House. I remember waking up one night at about 3 in the morning, and he had a headlamp on, and he was doing a count of us, because I'm sure you'd heard some rumor of the Form 3s planning to go to Hatfield Square that night. I looked at him, and I said, "Sir," and he said, "Jamesy," and then he left. He also had the uncanny ability to make you feel so bad for breaking a rule that you felt like pulling out your phone and calling your grandparents and apologizing for the shame you'd brought upon your family. Now, this is just a bit of a side note for me, and it's an opportunity I have to take, because being a master in a boarding house myself, I've noticed that old boys or matrics, as they are leaving, take a lot of enjoyment in telling me about things that they've gotten away with under my watch. And I think tonight's the perfect opportunity for me to do something like this to Mr. Hasenkamp. So, in 2006, I was in Form 2, and I returned from the newly formed Bush School. I think I was on the 3rd ever camp. Mr. Armstrong, who's here tonight, he was on that camp as a staff member. And I returned to Solomon House armed with formidable knowledge. I had, in my time away, learned how to brew pineapple beer. And my dorm mates asked me how Bush School was, and I told them about it, but I made the mistake of bragging about this knowledge in order to get a bit of street cred in my dorm. And 2 of my dorm mates took me up on this, and their names were Milan Olivier and Grant McKenzie. Unfortunately, they aren't with us here tonight, but they decided that they were going to ask me to help them brew some beer. So about a week later, I found myself in Checkers here in Brooklyn Mall, buying brewer's yeast, sugar, and a whole bunch of 2-liter Coke bottles, which we drank on the way back so that we could use them for the brewing process. And we snuck all this contraband into the sports storeroom, which used to be just here in the Henry Quad, where the stationery shop is now. And we closed the door behind us. The boys used to store their cricket bags there and that, so they wouldn't have to wheel them with them during the day. And we mixed this all together, and we started the brewing process. Now, currently, I'm a biology teacher, and my understanding and love for science only appeared really after I left school. So when I was in Form 2, I didn't really anticipate the fact that these bottles of fermenting pineapple beer would accumulate carbon dioxide. And long story short, I entered the Form 2 dorm one Saturday afternoon, about a week into the brewing process. I'd sort of been sneaking out and releasing the gas once I realized what was going on, but I wasn't doing enough of it. And I had a rugby ball in my hands, and I kicked it, which is also something that's against the rules. But it was a rare occurrence for me, being in the pipe band. And I remember walking and... I remember walking in... I remember walking, kicking this ball, and while this thing was in the crest of its arc, I heard a massive explosion. And I remember being so confused because I was expecting to hear a thud when it hit. But anyway, so I walked to the end of the dorm, and there I found shards of plastic everywhere. There was this like rank smell of yeast in the air. Bits of pineapple sprayed everywhere. And the green classic Boys Eye PT bag that I'd been using as my dark, warm place, torn to shreds. There were about 3 of these Coke bottles, so I'm really glad I wasn't standing there where it happened. And I very quickly tried to make amends. I tried to sort the situation out. So I went into the bathroom, I grabbed the mop, I filled a bucket full of water. I didn't have any soap with me. I didn't click that I could use my shower gel or something. So I remember taking a can of deodorant and detonating it underwater, thinking maybe that would give it a fragrance or something so that I could get rid of the smell. And our dorm prefect at the time was one of my best friends, Mario Martins, his brother Jimmy. He walked in while I was busy cleaning, and he was very angry with me. I'd sprayed half of his cube. His door was open at the time, so everything of his smelled like this. And he shouted at me for quite a while, and eventually he said to me, "Listen, tomorrow night after chapel, you will meet me in the head boys' cube." And I've never been so scared in my life. It was probably the most terrifying 24 hours of my life, because I thought, now I'm going to receive one of these famous hostile beatings that I've heard so much about, but nobody ever remembers getting at the time. So I found myself after prayers at the appointed time, shivering in the head boys' cube. His name was Tanner Matus. I'm not sure if he's with us this evening, but I'm sure some of his friends are. And he stormed in with Jimmy, with fire in his eyes. And he looked at me and he just said, "Where's the beer, or?" And I very meekly replied, "It exploded, Tanner." And then he looked at Jimmy and he said, "Why the hell did you waste my time with this?" And he stormed off. And then Jimmy shook his head and he left. And I spent about 5 polite minutes waiting for something more to happen. And then I left. And I never heard anything about it again. So I would just like to take this opportunity to apologize to Mr. Hazenkamp before calling him up to toast the school for my fangled attempt at an illegal brewing operation that I started under his watch. Gentlemen, Mr. Gregory Hazenkamp.